recording. Seeing yourself will be different than watching it on the screen, and it will be different than watching it in the mirror live. I don't know why, but it's different. So you'll notice things about yourself, and self-observation is so important with voice, music in general, but especially voice. Okay, so if you're are you in the camera if you want to be, or do you need, anybody need to know? Hello, it's Miss Heather, piano and voice teacher here at Conservatory of the Ozarks, and today we have all these people because it's a group lesson today. And I just want to say Amber, Dwight, Bernice, and Isla, I think. We're so sorry you couldn't be here, and I hope you can follow along with this at a different time. So this is going to be all about breathing. Maybe I'll stand here so I can sort of feel like I can see all of you. So this is a lot of information. I could spend hours talking about this, and it took me years to learn some of these facts. Some of this information is really hard to uncover and takes a lot of time and repetition to truly understand. So I'm going to do my best to kind of throw all of it at you in the amount of time we have. And just if I'm not making sense, then please just raise your hand or yell out or stop me or whatever, and I will try my best to help. So first off, Versavia is a piano student, so she doesn't do voice. Everyone else does voice. But I was really glad she could come because I wanted to show that breathing actually does affect all musicians, not just singers, but singers are maybe the most affected by breath compared to any other type of musician. And we are musicians, by the way. I don't know if you've ever heard people say singers and musicians, but if anyone ever says that to you, shut that down immediately and say, I have said it to someone who was interviewing me on live television before. I think you mean singers and instrumentalists, because singers are also musicians. So don't take that if they try to say that to you. Versavia would never, would you? She knows. So I think having a before and after barometer for breathing exercises can be very helpful, because if you can't see the value or the difference that the exercises make, there's really not much point to doing the exercises. So first I want to phonate, which means to make sound, by doing the siren exercise. Does everybody know how to do that? Yeah. Oh, well, not Versavia, but just follow along the best you can. So we'll start at our lowest pitch we can hit right above vocal fry, and then we'll slide up to the highest pitch we can hit, and then slide back down. The goal is no interruptions in the phonation, which would mean spots where the sound stops or disappears when you're not intending for that to happen, and that we have a smooth connection between the registers, so we don't really hear ooh, like a quick noticeable break between the high and the low voice that you have. And try to go as slow as you can and keep the connection as smooth as you can. So while we're doing this, I want you to notice two things. One is, how does your voice feel in your body, which means inside of your larynx right here, which if you touch your neck, you feel some bumps here in the middle, and if you make a sound, you can feel vibrations there, and if you move your finger, if you can hear your voice change, because that's where your voice is produced, on the inside of your larynx, which sometimes is called Adam's apple or the voice box. They all just mean they're slang terms for larynx. And the second thing to notice is, how do you sound while you are producing the sound? Because do these breathing exercises make the production of the sound, which happens inside of your body if you're a singer, feel easier, smoother, more free? And does the breathing exercise routine also change the way your voice sounds once the voice is outside of your body? So what you hear, does what you hear change, and does what you feel change? Because it should. It should change pretty dramatically the more you work on this. So we will breathe in, and then we'll slide up and slide back down, and we'll just kind of see how that goes. And you can, you don't have to go at the same speed as anybody else. Try not to be self-conscious, because this is kind of an embarrassing thing to do. So if you feel self-conscious, it's gonna hold you back. So we'll breathe in and make an ooh shape with our lips and slide up and back down. Ooh. smooth, free, loud, or what, connected, any adjectives you can think of, not good or bad, but like specific adjectives, describe how your voice felt in your larynx just now, and how connected and smooth and free did your voice sound when you heard the sound of your voice. Try to like memorize that somehow, because I can't tell you the answer to those questions. No one can except for you, and you might not even be able to tell yourself very clearly right now yet if you're not used to evaluating that. Now the second thing I want to try to do is the snake, which is a breathing exercise that is great for being a breathing exercise, but it's also kind of like the siren, a good barometer, because you can track your progress. So this 60-second BPM video, which just means 60 beats per minute, is the same thing as a second hand on a clock. And so you can just watch the second hand on a clock if you want, but this, if you play the metronome like through your speakers, you can get it real loud with this kind of mic. And so we will inhale like this. So inhale on one clip, and then on the next clip right after, when we begin the, we will begin counting. So you count to in your head, because you can't count with your mouth or your nose. And so we'll all stop at different times, just go as long as you can. The rules are no holding of your breath. The air has to be moving the whole time. And when you run out of air, stop. And just try to memorize what your number is, because at the end, we'll do the siren and the snake again, and we'll see if you get a bigger number, hopefully, yes, and if you feel a difference also in your phonation. And I could kind of give you some reference points. It doesn't really matter where you land. If you only get like 10 seconds, that's totally okay, but the best case scenario is usually around 60 seconds. I wouldn't be able to get to that today. Like, I would have to warm up to that. Most people can get somewhere in the 20s at least on their first try. But some people get less, and some people can already get into the 40s on their first try. So it just depends, because it's your body. So who knows what your body's going to do. And you can make the stream of air as tiny as you want. Like, I don't have to hear it to prove that you're still going. You just prove it to yourself. That's all that matters, that you can tell there's still air going. And so you're going to want to pace the air to go as long as you can. Usually you won't run out of air before you just sort of like run out of the ability to like not take a breath. So, any questions about that? I have no idea what's going on. So it's like this. I'll say in, and that would be one, like the first clip. Does that mean? Hold on, let me reconnect it. Sorry. Great job. We're done. Ready, and in. Does everyone remember their number or know what number it was? Does anybody need to like write their number down? You think you'll remember? Okay. Because if you don't remember, it won't be as fun at the end to like double check. I want to talk now about inhaling first, because those are the two parts of breathing, inhaling and exhaling. When we inhale, we want to let the air sink all the way down into our lower lungs, which is like not really a real thing that we can like scientifically do, but like the thought of it is helpful. So that's how we will think of it. Like if you think of taking a glass, putting the glass under running water, and seeing the water fill up from bottom to top, That's like how we want to think of our air. So when we inhale, we'll breathe like this. And so we want to see the abdominal wall release. And we want to see not much up here, if that makes sense. And so it's not like I'm trying to hold this still. It just doesn't really need to move, chest and shoulders, as opposed to this. Where the chest and shoulders are really making a lot of movement with inhale and exhale. Oh, Versavia, you have to do your part really quick first too. So would you just play like the first line of your song, just like a little bit of it, and let us hear? Just so we can hear how it sounds right now. So take time to get yourself comfortable. Oh yeah. And there's a blue stool behind you. So think of how your body feels while you're like playing right now, and think of how the music sounds, like how the pitches sound in the air this time. And all of you think about how it sounds, because you can't feel your body on the inside. Good. So do you think you can remember how that sounded and felt for later?
I don't know.
Maybe. Hopefully so. We could listen back to it if we needed to too. So now I want to show, you can sit for a sec while I talk and just try to notice this. So see how when I could hold my nose and I could close my mouth, which means I can't take in any air, but I could still make this shape happen. What I just showed you, right? So I have these muscles here in my abdominal wall, and I could use these muscles to shove my stomach out like this without taking in any air. So it would look like I was doing the thing I just said we should be doing, but I'm not at all. It's not helpful in any way. And so I could do this, and make a sound because I still have some air in my lungs, but I didn't take any in, right? Or I can, instead of doing that, I can release my abdominal wall like this. Do you see the difference in looking at me? This is a release as opposed to this, which is me pushing my muscles in an outward motion. Both times I did not take in any air. So see if you can, even while you're sitting, can you feel the difference? Push your tummy out, and you can put your hands on if you want to, and then let your tummy relax into your hands. And now you probably want to stand up for this part. You can stand up nice and tall. Put your hands on your tummy if that's helpful, or you can put one hand on your tummy and one hand on your chest. I find putting both on my tummy is most useful for me, but it depends on the person. And so we will release the abdominal wall into our hands like this without breathing in a couple times. Push a couple times. And now try to inhale, allow the air to sink down, and the air, along with the release, is what causes the tummy to pop out. Just try a couple of those by yourself. And let the air out for your exhale, however you want. Is anyone able to feel the connection between the air entering and the tummy moving? Yeah, good. So now I want to suddenly leap back up to the top and talk about the shape up here, because this is like kind of a shape you could think of, like I'm making this shape that I want to be seeing when I'm seeing people sing. On top, we have to make a shape as well. So we need to release our jaw like this. In a straight downward motion. So can you all see my face in the camera? Everyone, or not really? Yeah, okay, so this is just like straight down. So I could make this same shape, just like I was saying with the abdominal wall, like this, which is me using my muscles to force my jaw into the right shape, or I can make the shape by letting my jaw fall open. You can probably guess, I want you to do the fall open version of the shape. We don't need all of that pressure to let the jaw fall open. So it looks probably similar to something you do on a pretty regular basis already, which is, yes, good job, Helen, actually. Yawning. and so just let your jaw fall open like that a couple times, kind of like we did with the abdominal wall. And if you want to look in the mirror or the camera, you can, because we should see this straight symmetrical movement down, as opposed to like sometimes your jaw kind of can get off track, so you can like watch it carefully to make sure. That's actually an exercise I learned in physical therapy for my jaw pain. Just like opening and closing and you have to watch in a mirror, because you won't know if you're in a straight line otherwise. But so that is me thinking of letting my chin come down, which is like falling open like a hinge in the front part of my mouth, as opposed to like a Muppet, which means they have a mouth that hinges open up and down like this. But we are only going to let the bottom drop, and the rest of our head is just like released on top of the spine, and the gravity will just pull the jaw down in front. We also at the same time can think of the back part of the jaw. A really helpful phrase from a voice textbook that I love is wrap your jaw around your neck. So just think of those words and allow your jaw to fall open as your jaw wraps around your neck. To me, the difference feels sort of like an elevator going down, as opposed to what I was saying before, which is like a hinge. We want to release both ways. Any questions about that so far? Okay, so next we'll move farther back to the back of the pharynx, which is just a fancy word for throat. So the back of your throat, which is located right above the larynx, where your soft palate is. If you kind of, well, you know where your soft palate is? No, okay, so I'll talk about that first, just a sec first. So if you press the tip of your tongue against the roof of your mouth, you can feel the texture is hard. That's your hard palate. If you slide your tongue backwards along your hard palate towards your throat or your uvula, do you feel, here for me, the texture changes and becomes soft. So that's your soft palate. Your hard palate can't really move, but the soft palate can, just like how Helen actually was yawning. If you yawn, your soft palate stretches up, and you can hear how your voice changes when your soft palate is elevated and your uvula retracts. So we can try to do that at will when we yawn, or when we're inhaling, or when we're singing high pitches. We want to learn how to purposely manipulate that. So just think of in the front, we're dropping down. In the back, we're stretching our soft palate up. We're letting the jaw wrap around the neck. So we're making a big open space in the back of the throat. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And then I just want to talk about the tongue in 3 pieces. So the tip of the tongue we want to keep pressed against the roots of the lower teeth, so you feel both tooth and gum against the tip of your tongue when we are inhaling, and for all of our vowels, by the way, too. But we're not talking about that today, just the breathing. So you should feel the bottom part of your bottom teeth and the top part of your gums for your lower gums. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And so your tongue just goes along for a ride as the jaw falls down. The middle part of your tongue should be free. You don't need to really even think about it. And the pressing with the tip of the tongue against the roots of your lower teeth is gentle, like barely pressure at all. But if you haven't been thinking of doing that with your tongue, you probably will have to think about it a little bit. So thinking of gently pressing with your tongue might be helpful at first. And then the back of your tongue, or the base of your tongue, which if you look at this model here of the larynx, it is incredible to see how huge the tongue is. This is your larynx here. This is where your tongue ends. So you can see how close together the two mechanisms that are part of a larger mechanism are. And you can imagine how much they could affect each other as well. So the base of the tongue connects all the way down here by your epiglottis. The little flap, this is another way of seeing it, this little flap here. So here's the base of the tongue, the root here, and then there's the epiglottis, and this is the larynx. So they're like right there, right there. Yeah. So if you feel the instinct to yawn, don't fight that urge. Like, give into it and notice the sensations you feel on the inside of your mouth, because those are the sensations we want to reproduce without yawning first, and then reproduce while singing later, because it's really hard. It's really hard to figure that out. Okay, so now think of all of these things that I'm sorry, was that too many things? Okay, so think of all these things. We're going to release the front, let the tip of the tongue go down with the front. In the back, let the soft palate stretch open, let the base of the tongue sink down. And then the last step is your trachea, which is, underneath here, is going to send the air up through your throat. So the throat here, right above your larynx, like from the base of your tongue area that we were just talking about down here to the top of your larynx, that's like the bottom part of your pharynx or your throat, right? So we can think of opening our throat, or you can think of like expanding this pipe here. So I'm not even asking you to inhale, I'm just saying make the shape from front to back all the way down. We're trying to create a simple way of saying this is as much space as we can on the inside of our mouth from above the larynx to our lips. If I do that, I can't stop the air from coming in. So see if you can. You would have to constrict to stop the air, because guess what? We're surrounded by air pressure. Like, I always love the example of, if you take an empty cup, looks empty, full of air actually, but if you take the empty cup, plunge the empty cup underwater when you're doing dishes, the water will rush to fill the empty cup, right? Like, you don't have to like shove the water into the cup. You can't stop the water from entering the cup. So we can see that, which is really helpful. We can't see the air pressure because air also has mass and weight. So we're surrounded by this air, and the air is trying to do the same thing as the water would do to the cup. It wants to rush into any open space we make. So if we just make the open space here and then allow the release down here, it's one smooth, quick movement. I know I just talked about it for like a million years, but you just can let it happen. You would have to stop the air from coming in if you make the right shape. Does that track? Okay, so let's try that a little bit. Open, 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 and release, and see if you can feel the connection from what happened here to what happened here, and hopefully the cause is this shape, which allows the air to rush in, and that causes this at the same time, right? So here we go. Just try a couple inhales like that. And if you hear this, or like the tighter of the space, which is constriction, the more high-pitched and the more sound in general you will hear, which is not what we want. We want to hear either nothing or a very low-pitched sound like this. Maybe look in the mirror and try it once. Because you have your kinesthetic feedback that's probably telling you, I don't know, it's really open right now. But yes. Oh, yes. Good job, Micah. If you look in the mirror, you'll see, oh, actually, I could do a whole lot more with my space. So somehow you have to use the mirror to correct the sensations you feel with your eyes, so you can make what you feel eventually, you know what it feels like to be open, because most of us don't know that without a little bit of effort. And so another little mind game you can play with yourself while you're doing this is the thought of walking into a surprise party, and you feel very happy. All the people you love best have thrown a surprise birthday party for you. You walk in, you're surprised. Now, if each of you don't feel awkward about this, I would like to have each of you come put your hand on my tummy one at a time. You probably all have done it before. And feel this. And then if you feel comfortable, I'll put my hand on yours. Oh, gorgeous. Do it one more time. Let your air out. Good, okay. Anybody else comfortable with that? Put your hands on my tummy. You feel? Yeah. You mind if I got you? So Helen Ashley, do you mind if Helen Ashley touches you? Okay, yeah, put your hand on. Now inhale again. Micah, do you mind if Micah touches? Is that okay? Micah, can you put your hand here? And now you put your hand on your tummy and a hand on your chest. What do you feel?
So my chest moving?
Yeah.
It's
Can
not
you
supposed
feel
to,
it?
right?
No. But don't think of holding your chest still. Think of the release here. Now feel me again. Ah, yes. Okay, Helen Ashley, feel Pam's stomach again. Sorry. Oh, that one. Do you have any advice for Pam? Because you've been doing this for a little while. Maybe we can hear what you can articulate.
I always think of, you don't want to be Baby Bird. So we're not trying to like lift this up when you breathe in. It is kind of like,
Just concentrate more.
you want to focus on here, and it's like you're swelling up a balloon, or you just kind of like, I don't know about you, but most of my life I'm like sucking in a little bit. I just relax, because I'm just like, no one's going to be paying attention to here.
Do you mind if Pam touches yours? Your tummy? And now, let's, do either of you feel comfortable? You don't have to, you don't want to, it's okay. Yeah, I know, it's weird, grown-ups are always doing strange things. So, now, I want to do a little straw work. So everybody can grab a straw. And if you feel comfortable with this, I would also love for you to take either a ribbon or a yarn, and I have scissors here, and we need to tie a string around our waist for this part. And here's the scissors, so you can cut the string. So we want the string to be like kind of tight, like how so you can feel the pressure of the string around your waist at rest, like with your tummy as tight as skinny as it can be at rest, and try to get it close to your belly button. If you're like me, that's not the skinniest one. Oh my, it's a little tricky. Try to get it as close to your belly button as you can, and as tight as you can. And you can even keep your string and your straw after the class for free. Ah, you wanna try? You wanna try?
String.
No?
Can I have string?
This one?
Can you have just string?
You have just the string.
Like just like this?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so before we put the straws in our mouth, just try again you can put your hands on your tummy, your chest, or whatever that wasn't most helpful to you. See if you can inhale so you feel this string tightening all the way around, because I don't have time to talk about back expansion and the ribs much, but we want to feel expansion all the way around, everywhere a belt would touch if we were wearing a belt. So just try a few inhales. Open, 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 open. Let the air in. Let your abdominal wall release. Yeah, it's tricky. See if you can feel the string get tighter all the way around, and then just release. And inhale again. Now here is a straw, and if I want you to feel the ideal amount of expansion on the inside of your mouth, which the straw can really help with. So we're looking for the same feeling you get if you blow up a balloon, you accidentally lose control of the balloon, and the air goes rushing into your mouth. If that's ever happened to you before, maybe it's like a feeling almost like if you swallow too much food, but it's air. It's like very strange, right? So the air pressure on the inside of your mouth builds up because your larynx down here is a very small amount of space for the air to get through, especially compared to like the opening of your mouth hole, which is really big. So if you have nowhere for the air to escape, your cheeks are going to puff out, and so the air is pushing outward, just like the air would have pushed outward against the sides of the balloon, causing the balloon to expand. We want that to happen on the inside of our mouth. And the reason why, like when we're singing, is because the mucosal membrane that lines our vocal tract from our larynx to our lips is very soft and squishy. And if you think of sound waves, they function a lot like, say, a basketball. If you bounce the basketball on asphalt, the ball will bounce easily with very little effort and go really high. But if you bounce a basketball on a soft surface like carpet or the top of your bed, you can try really hard, put a lot of effort, you're not going to get much bounce, right? So we can stretch the tissues of the mucosal membrane on the inside of our vocal tract taut or tight, which voice teachers almost never like to use the word tight. This is the only time we want to feel a tight feeling, and we even now kind of need to be careful about that word. That's a dangerous word when you're singing. But the stretched open feeling often does feel tight up here. We never want to feel tightness down here in the larynx. So you can inhale, and then instead of exhaling like normal, inhale the way we've been talking about, please, because that's what we want the default to become. Block the exit and see if you can feel the air pushing and stretching the back of your throat open. Oh, and wrap your lips, corners in, all the way around. Not like this or something. We want to really like bring the corners together as much as we can. Does everyone feel that stretch? Good. Good. Okay, so now you can take your finger off this time. We'll inhale the same way that we did at the beginning, that we have been practicing, and then instead of doing the siren like we did at the beginning, we will phonate into the straw, which is called a semi-occluded vocal tract exercise because we're partly blocking the exit route of the vocal tract, which is semi-occluded, that's what that means, which will help equalize the air pressure below and above the larynx, and that buildup of air pressure above the larynx, like I was just trying to explain, will create more outward force because of the air pressure. Does that make sense at all? Or no, not really? Any questions? Yeah.
No, I was zoning out.
Okay. It's like if it doesn't make sense, I could try to say. So we'll inhale like this. No matter where the straw is, we're going to make this same shape. So not like, don't suck the air in, please. Don't breathe in through your nose. We're going to inhale like we've just been practicing. Don't let the straw change your inhale. And then we will take however much time we each need to wrap or rip fully around the straw. And then we'll do the siren into the straw. Okay, here we go. Now do the stretch feeling again. Does everyone feel an intense stretch in the back of their throat when they have their finger on the straw? Good. Did anyone feel that stretch while they were phonating during the siren? Yeah, it's really hard to maintain while you're trying to sing. So alternating these two techniques is excellent. Do this, then do the siren. Do this, then do the siren. Because we want to label that sensation, which I use labels like stretch, tight, open. You got to find the words that work for you to describe that sensation you get when you do this. And then try to find that same sensation with those same labels while you're singing. So the siren's like one of the easiest vocal exercises you could probably do, right? You don't even have to sing specific pitches. So if you can nail it during the siren, you have some hope of being able to do it with harder things too. So let's try it again.
I couldn't do that. Nothing came out with the siren. What am I doing something wrong?
Do you feel comfortable demonstrating
Yeah, I
by yourself? Okay, let's see.
So. I don't know where to go.
So, ooh. Yeah, that's it. That's it, yeah.
Okay.
And just try to bring your corners together. Like this. Like
It's
this.
like you're singing ooh, but with a really, really small mouth.
Good. And now put your fist here on my tummy. And feel. There. But you had a little bit of force. So release. Nope. That was, there you go. Release. There. That was better. Still a little constricted. Bring your corners. Start low.
Do a suck air in. Put the straw in my mouth.
No, open first. Inhale.
Do I start low on the siren?
Yes. Always start low on the siren and slide up. Yes, that's the idea. Yeah.
Very odd.
It is. It's a very strange thing to do.
Yes.
Anybody else have any questions or issues with the siren part? Is it going pretty smooth? So was anyone able to feel the expansion being maintained during phonation that time around? Like, could you feel the stretch open in the back during the siren, or did everything collapse once you had to add singing into the equation, singing the siren? I have to really concentrate even now, and I've been teaching voice lessons for 19 years this year. Like, whew, it takes a lot of focus. So let's do another round of block the air, feel the stretch. Then release and open to inhale, and then wrap your lips around the straw to begin the siren. Good, we'll do one more round with the straw because I want you to think, this is not gonna sound pretty, period. Like, no matter how good of a job you do, this is gonna sound really strange. So don't shy away from like letting weird sounds come out because it's fine. You're not ever gonna like go to a recital and like do this on stage in front of people. Prepare yourselves, everyone. Nobody would come to see that. So the thing that matters is you are blocking the airflow from your mouth. Instead of lots of air coming out, we are partially occluding. So we want to feel the buildup of air on the inside of our mouth because of the straw. That's what matters for this. If we can get that sensation and kind of phonate, it's okay if the phonation's not beautiful. That is the first step. We have to like break apart everything into tiny little simple pieces and master each element before we can possibly hope to do what we're singing, because this is really hard to do. So one more time, feel the sensation. And then when you're ready, release and open to inhale like we practiced for the first half. Wrap your lips. Keep the space. Feel the buildup of air pushing outward, stretching open, stretching open. Don't let it go away. Let the sound be ugly before you let the space collapse. How was that for you, Jonah? You had like a look on your face at the end. What did you feel?
I don't know.
Did you feel more or less open?
Left enough more.
More open? Did you feel stretched a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah. Anybody else have any adjectives they could use to describe what they felt that time?
Better than I did before.
Aww, you're so good because you've had 1-2 lessons only. Yeah. So, now let's put the straws down. You can take the straw and the string with you after this. I would love it if you did and tried doing this.
We should have the rehearsal like this. Hey guys, we're ready.
Yeah. Please do. Riley will understand.
Just draw a line.
So we'll release, just like we did before. Look for the stretched open feeling when you inhale, because that is the ultimate goal of all of this inhale work. We want to stretch open to make the big space for the air to come in, and the only thing that changes is the lips come into the ooh shape like they just did for the straw, and then we do the siren. Nothing back here changes. So in other words, we use our inhalation to set the stage for successful phonation. This is the shape, this is the shape. We establish it before we begin making sounds. We make the shape for the inhale and then keep the shape. Our lips do whatever they need to do to articulate the words we're going to sing, but right now we don't even have to do that. All we have to do is make the, just like with the straw, think of bringing your corners together as much as you can. Because look, if you're in your corners so far, spreading your lips out like this, what happens? Your teeth come closer together. If you put your corners together, your teeth must separate, which is what we want, more space. Our teeth should never be touching when we sing. We always want to try to have as much space between our teeth as possible. So here we go. Open, 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 let the air in, and then start your siren when you're ready. Does anybody have any observations from before and after? From the first siren at the beginning to now?
It was smoother.
Yes. Any other words like smoother? It's a good adjective. What was smoother? The sound or the feeling of the production of the sound?
For me, both.
Yes.
I didn't feel like it was like, I noticed when I first did it, I cracked between like
Mm-hmm.
my upper range area.
Yes.
This time I don't think I
Which is a lack of flexibility, which is called brittleness in your tone. Your tone will break instead of being able to be flexible. That is almost always one of the effects that we should notice. Smoothness both in the production of the sound and in the sound of the sound that we hear. Any other words that anybody noticed?
Felt more consistent.
Yes. Great. What felt more consistent?
The first time I was like, I think like when I started and then when I ended it was a little bit louder because I was forcing it more. And then I got up there and was just kind of using it and then just kind of roll the air out at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of felt like a little more, yeah, solid, consistent.
Yeah, so like interruptions in phonation, which means when your voice stops or breaks, will most often happen in your upper register, right? Because that's where it's really hard to sing, the high notes, like very demanding. Did you notice any differences for you?
It was more consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I noticed, because even though you're all singing as a group, secretly I'm listening to each one of you individually, as a whole and individually, I noticed greater clarity in your tone. So I don't know if you noticed that as well, like more of a clear tone quality. I don't know for sure what you feel in your body. I can't know that, but usually the result of the more open space is more clarity in your tone, which is what we all would want to have, like a clear, ringing tone quality, right? So now I just want to do one last time with unless everybody has to leave right on the dot, since we're kind of running behind, I thought maybe we could just go like a few minutes over. I'd like to do one more snake. Does everybody remember their first number? 42. Yeah, you did so good. Did you practice your snake? Bam! So good. I hope you stay excited even after you've been taking lessons for a while and I've made you do it like so many times. You're like, please stop. Please.
You not heard that rehearsal yet?
No.
Sorry. All right. Ready? Remember, don't just breathe in, don't suck the air in. Make the shape. Open, 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 release. And then, so try to keep the expansion even as you're exhaling. It doesn't really matter when you're just exhaling, but it's good practice for the siren, which is what we're going to do after this. And count. Don't forget to count your number because I can't possibly keep track of when everybody's starting and stopping, and we don't have our music journals to write it in. So here we go. And in.
49.
I thought that was 50.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Wow,
Not bad.
that's insane. After so few lessons. Really insane. Okay, did anyone have a number? How should I say this? Raise your hand if your number was higher the second time than the first time. Yeah, so everyone, which is what we would hope to see.
I didn't get a good breath in, so mine was actually 4 counts shorter.
Oh, sorry.
It felt better. It felt better. but
Yeah, like what felt better?
it felt like a more controlled breath, and it felt like a better quality of breath, if that makes sense.
Did the exhale feel smoother?
It did feel smoother.
Yeah.
It did feel smoother.
Weird, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it weird? It's like a little creepy almost. Like, cause I'll even sometimes like go through phases where I'm like, I don't work on breath that much with my voice students or myself, cause I like kind of get sidetracked by other things, and then I'll come back to it and be like, oh my goodness, I forgot how much this works, and like how quickly you can see the results. It's like kind of weird. And so now, last thing for the singers, I want to do one more siren. If you have your water with you, you might want to take a drink because doing the breathing will dry out your mucosal membrane. And then Versavia, they're all getting ready. This is what I want you to do. I want you to play the same thing you did before. But can you put your hands in the starting position real quick? I once had to fraudulently teach violin lessons. And I don't really know much of anything about violin. I know a little bit, you know. But so there's like sometimes on TikTok, if you're like a music teacher, you'll get these funny videos about like if you're a music ed person, like teaching in a school, you have to like sometimes teach clarinet. I never even played a clarinet, so like like students making jokes about how their like band teacher gives them all these like breathing techniques when they're a percussionist or something, because that's all. Because the teacher is like a clarinet player, so breath support is really important to them, but for drum, like not so much. Well, that's what happened to this violin student. I'm like, I bet this would still help with your breathing, even though you don't need to breathe at a certain time when you have an instrument like piano, which is a percussion instrument, or a string instrument like a violin. You can breathe whenever. It shouldn't really affect your sound at all, unlike all of us. It will really affect our sound, but it does affect your sound still, more subtly. So we'll see. I have not actually worked on this with Versavia ever in a lesson, I don't think. So, and you know, she's probably feeling really self-conscious right now, would be my guess, because I would if I were in your shoes. But it's still a really interesting thing to think about. So you can inhale, your first note's at F, just like we were practicing. Inhale, and play your first note as you exhale. So just try doing that a time or two. Find your starting note, put your left hand wherever it needs to go. Inhale. Play on the exhale. Can you try that? I don't think you're doing the breathing part. You feel a little too nervous to try it right now? A little too nervous? Okay, we'll work on it in your lesson. It is crazy though. You can hear the difference even when you don't need to breathe that way. If you inhale and exhale for your beginning, you'll see some of my piano, like if you don't recite, like you'll see some of my piano students do that. Like they'll inhale before they begin their piece. It will make a world of difference. It's the weirdest thing, because it shouldn't. There's no reason, like scientifically, why it should. You can hold your breath and begin. It should not have any effect on it, but it does. And you can breathe as you end your phrases by lifting your wrist in piano. It changes the way you sound. Something about it, like magically changes the way you sound. So it's kind of interesting to see. Okay, so now let's try one more siren now that we've done all of the breathing. And see if you can keep the expansion in the back as you inhale. Open, open, open to let the air in, and keep open to let the sound out. Here we go. Push against my hand. Now relax. See how this moves? So instead of pushing against my hand, relaxing my hand. Relax. There. Oh, that was so good. Did you feel that? Yeah. It's like counterintuitive to everything we're taught, especially if you're a female growing up.
Right.
It's like, suck your tummy in.
Right.
It's like, don't do it. No, people can't tell. They're standing in front of you. They can't see. It's fine. You don't look like you're pregnant or fat or whatever. Like and even if you did, it would totally be worth it for the change in your sound. So you somehow have to get past the many times you probably have been told throughout your life that you need to suck in your stomach.
Yeah.
So we kind of were fighting against our trauma when we are doing voice lessons, I feel like. All right, so here we go. Release.
Man still.
Quarter Joe. I noticed so much smoothness and a more consistent connection in my phonation from top to bottom. Anybody else have any additional adjectives?
Bright.
Yes. Energized, maybe. Vibrant. Yeah. So, do you feel like you see the value of the breathing exercises? The breathing in and of itself, and then the shape that the breathing the right way can establish before you begin singing or while you are singing. That's what I'm hoping for you all to like walk away from here. Does that make sense? Okay, any questions before we go? Great job, everyone. Please have some candy. I even have new Dixie cups. And you definitely deserve a treat after all that work. And you can, Helen Ashley knows my homepage on my channel. There's like playlists of me, you know, conveying all this information many times to different people, which sometimes is helpful to see, and you can like watch it for free. They've already paid for it, so why not? And yeah, the surprise party breath inhale would be the playlist to start with.
So quick question.
Yeah.
So how do you is it just more practice so that you don't feel like I'm gonna get lightheaded?
Oh.
A little lightheadedness.
Yeah, you should. And then you also can buy something from like Amazon called a breath trainer. It's for athletes or sometimes people who are pregnant. You could try that. That can sometimes increase your stamina, especially like athletes who are training to be athletic at high altitudes, but they don't live at the high altitudes. Sometimes they use it for that reason. But yeah, the more you do them, the less lightheaded you should feel. But like, you should always take that seriously. If you start to feel lightheaded, give yourself a break. And they say, I don't know why this is. I've never been able to figure out why, but I heard this one teacher whose breathing exercises I really liked called Ariella Vaccarino. She said if you ever see yellow, you should stop immediately because that's a really bad sign for some reason. I'm not sure why, but so if you ever see yellow, I guess stop. And I noticed personally after, like during my pregnancy, because I've only had one, I could not do a snake as long as like my youngest, least experienced student. I wouldn't have been able to beat them at the snake. It was really bad. And now that postpartum is not nearly as bad, but I don't think it ever quite went back to as good. And it seems like my stamina, which is what you're talking about, like the ability to like get lightheaded, seems like it's much easier still.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes when you're a female, we have like the deck stacked against it. That too. So like I'm older now than I was, but
Thinning, like I'm doing dance
Great
classes,
job.
like sometimes I get you get off balance a little bit. It's just more practice.
yeah, because I think the inner ear, the liquid thickens, and maintaining your balance becomes more difficult. I don't know if those two are related, but
just work a little harder at it.
probably.
Yeah.
And just different people too. Like some people, it's just easier than it is for others. So, which it's not fair, but that's the way life is. So.
Takes a little more practice. No, I just kind of like touched the chair. Just to make
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Be careful and like,
Yeah.
I really love to alternate, like, just like I said, alternate the breathing and the siren so you can feel the sensation without the siren that you want to have during the siren, because breathing alone is more simple. So break it into the most basic element, master that basic element, then add the siren on, right? Then sing a vocal exercise and then go back and repeat. So like alternate, breathe, siren, actual vocal exercise from your routine that you're supposed to be doing. Because eventually, hopefully you can have that shape during the exercises, but that's going to be harder than keeping the shape during the siren, which is going to be harder than keeping the shape just during the breathing exercise, right? And then at some point, once you've mastered all three of those steps, maybe you'll be able to keep the expansion while you're actually singing a song with real words and like difficult intervals. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Practice.
it's a long, slow process. So sorry for the bad news. Yeah, it's good news for me though. Otherwise, I'd be homeless if this stuff was easy. I mean.
But I think it was going through. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.
Yes, thanks for